All right, you curious motherfuckers, ready to have your minds blown? We're going deep on this one. Vladimir Putin, yeah, that shirtless horse-riding ex-KGB badass.
Oh,
We've
God.
got bios, articles, the whole goddamn enchilada on this dude.
Sounds intense.
You might think you know him, but trust me, there's way more to this fucker than meets the eye.
I bet.
So let's cut the crap.
Let's.
What's the deal with Putin?
Well, Putin's early life really shatters that simple image people have of him.
Oh, yeah?
Little Vlad was a total bookworm. He loved Karl Marx and all that communist bullshit.
Oh, shit. I always pictured him more into, like, the art of war, you know? Like spy novels.
Nope. Dude was a nerd. He even went to a special high school and learned fluent German. Imagine that. Putin giving speeches in German.
Damn, that's fucked up. So maybe not a total meathead then. But he was KGB, right?
Absolutely. Right after Leningrad State University, where he got his law degree, he joined the KGB.
A fucking law degree. Serious?
Yeah, and get this. His thesis was on international trade law. What the fuck? Mind blown. All right, so tell me about his time as Agent Platov, or whatever his spy name was.
After KGB school, he was stationed in Dresden, East Germany.
East Germany. Sounds fun.
Yeah, really a blast. It was a key posting for the KGB, though. Putin worked as a liaison with the Stasi.
The East German secret police. So basically a spy among spies.
Exactly. He even got a bronze medal from the East German army for faithful service.
Hold up. So how did this seemingly loyal communist become the leader of post-Soviet Russia?
Well, it is a hell of a leap, and that's where things get interesting.
All right. I'm all ears.
When the Berlin Wall fell, Putin had to resign from active KGB service. There were questions about his loyalty during the anti-communist demonstrations in Dresden. Seems like he might have been playing both sides.
Sneaky bastard.
Right. But that's what got him into power eventually.
So unpack this power grab for me. How did he go from, like, mid-level spy to president of fucking Russia?
It was ruthlessly fast. He climbed the political ladder and became prime minister in 1999. And then Yeltsin just handed him the keys to the Kremlin, right?
Pretty much. Yeltsin resigned on New Year's Eve, 1999. Made Putin the acting president. A few months later, he won his first presidential election.
Talk about being in the right place at the right time. Or was it more calculated than that?
That's a damn good question.
Either way, the dude was in charge. But Russia in the 90s was a total shit show, right? Oligarchs running wild, economy in the toilet.
Absolutely. And that chaos is what let Putin consolidate his power.
How so?
He campaigned on stability and strength. You know, a stark contrast to the corruption and instability of the Yeltsin years. People were desperate for a strong leader, someone to bring order to all the chaos.
I guess even a former KGB agent starts to look good when the alternative is anarchy, huh?
Exactly. Putin knew exactly how to exploit those fears.
What about those pesky oligarchs, though? Didn't they try to, like, muscle in on his action?
Oh, they did. The Putin went after some of the most powerful ones, like Mikhail Khodorkovsky.
What'd he do? Send him to Siberia or some shit?
Basically. Khodorkovsky was arrested on charges of fraud and tax evasion and spent 10 years in prison. Others were forced into exile.
So much for freedom and democracy, huh?
It was Putin's way of showing he wouldn't tolerate any challenges. He was determined to show the power of the state and put those oligarchs in their place.
How the other oligarchs react to this, like, off with their heads approach?
Some, like Roman Abramovich, figured it was smarter to work with Putin. They became loyal allies and benefited from Putin's rule.
So he played those asshats like a fiddle. Not bad, Vlad.
It was a pretty cynical strategy, but brilliant nonetheless.
Okay, so we've got Putin the bookworm, Putin the spy, Putin the oligarch whisperer. Anything else about this guy that might surprise us?
Oh, plenty. His policies and actions are full of contradictions and unexpected twists.
All right, now we're talking. Hit me with some examples.
For example, he signed the Kyoto Protocol.
The treaty to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Mr. Environmentally Conscious, huh? Didn't see that coming.
The irony is that Russia didn't actually have to cut emissions because their output had gone way down after the Soviet Union collapsed.
Classic Vlad. Taking the credit without doing the work. What else you got?
He also developed a close relationship with the Russian Orthodox Church, even attending services. He even pushed for the reunification of the Moscow Patriarchate with the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia.
Playing the religious card too, huh? Smart move for a leader trying to unify a country.
Absolutely. But at the same time, he pushed conservative policies on social issues, especially homosexuality. Like in 2013, he backed a law banning the promotion of non-traditional sexual relationships to minors.
Talk about contradictions, man. He's a walking, talking paradox.
You could say that.
All right, so while he's busy playing chess with oligarchs and sucking up to the church, what about the average Ivan on the street? How's life under Putin's rule?
Well, that's where things get a bit darker. Organizations like Human Rights Watch have documented a real crackdown on dissent and free speech under Putin.
Sound like someone can't handle a little criticism?
Apparently not. Independent media outlets have been silenced, journalists harassed and imprisoned, political opponents have, well, mysteriously disappeared or died under suspicious circumstances.
This whole sovereign democracy thing sounds like a load of bullshit when you look at the facts, right?
It does make you wonder.
What about all the rumors of corruption and Putin's insane wealth? Is any of that true?
There have been tons of allegations and investigations linking Putin to a huge network of wealth and assets, including a billion-dollar palace on the Black Sea.
A billion-dollar palace. Jesus Christ, this guy lives like a goddamn czar.
The extent of his wealth is still debated, but there's no question that he and his inner circle have made fortunes while he's been in power.
And yet he still pretends to be this humble public servant. It's almost impressive how fucked up that is.
He's a master at that. Propaganda, image manipulation. He understands the power of symbolism.
Yeah, like those pictures of him riding a horse shirtless. What a tool.
Exactly. It's all carefully crafted, appealing to a certain segment of the Russian population, the ones who want a strong leader, someone who can make Russia great again.
And it's working, right? His approval ratings are still pretty damn high, even after all this shit he's pulled.
That's the paradox of Putin. He's built a system where he's basically untouchable.
How the hell does he get away with it? Don't people get pissed off?
Yeah.
About the lack of freedom, the corruption, all that shit.
There's opposition, of course. Alexei Navalny has been a pretty vocal critic.
Oh yeah, the dude who got poisoned and thrown in jail.
Well, yeah.
Real stand-up guy, that Putin.
Navalny is a perfect example of how Putin handles his opponents. Silence them, discredit them, make them disappear.
And the rest of the world just, sits back and watches. Like, oh, well, that's Russia for you.
Yeah, there have been sanctions, condemnations from Western governments, but it hasn't been enough to stop him.
I guess when you've got oil and nukes, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
It gives you leverage, and Putin isn't afraid to use it. Look at what he did in Ukraine.
Yeah, the whole Crimea thing. What a dick.
With a clear violation of international law, but he got away with it.
And then he launched a full-scale invasion.
I know, right?
Talk about escalation.
Even for Putin, it was shocking. He takes huge risks to get what he wants, even if it means, pissing off the entire world and getting his economy fucked.
So what's his end game? Does he want to, rebuild the Soviet Empire or something?
That's the question, isn't it? It's clear he wants to make Russia a major power again, but how far he'll go, nobody knows.
He's not getting any younger, though. The dude's got to be pushing 70, right?
He is.
That's got to be a factor, right?
It is. It raises questions about, what happens when he's gone? Will there be a peaceful transition of power? Or will everything go to shit?
Those are some scary-ass questions, man. It's like looking into, the abyss of Russian history or something.
Yeah. And the stakes are incredibly high. What happens next in Russia could change the world.
So what do you think? Is Putin some brilliant strategist playing the long game, or just a power-hungry dictator clinging to control?
Honestly, it's probably a bit of both. He's a really complex, enigmatic figure, capable of both incredible cunning and reckless brutality.
Well, I got to give the guy credit for one thing. He's kept things interesting.
He has. And as long as he's in power, the world's going to keep watching, with a mix of fascination and, maybe a little fear.
So after digging through all this intel, what's the takeaway here? What should our listeners, be thinking about when it comes to Putin?
I think the most important thing is that Putin is a product of his past. The KGB, his rise to power in the 90s, his belief that Russia is special, all of that has shaped who he is and what he does.
So basically, we got to understand his past to understand him now.
Exactly. And we have to be willing to look past the simple stories, The propaganda. Putin is a master manipulator. Don't underestimate him.
Damn, that's heavy shit. It's like we got this glimpse behind the curtain, and what we saw was both, fascinating and terrifying.
That's pretty accurate. Putin's Russia is a strange place, full of contradictions. It's a country with an amazing history and culture, but also a dark side.
And at the center of it all is this guy, Vladimir Putin, holding the fate of Russia in his hands. Maybe the fate of the world, too.
And the scariest part is, we don't really know what he's capable of.
What he wants to achieve.
And he sure as hell doesn't make it easy. Putin loves keeping everyone guessing.
Ain't that the truth?
Hmm.
This dude is like an onion, all these layers of secrets and bullshit. It really makes you wonder what the hell he's thinking, you know?
Well, one thing's for sure, he plays the long game. He's not thinking about next week or even next year. He's thinking decades ahead.
So what's next for Vlad the Impaler, then? World domination. Galactic conquest. You know, typical supervillain shit.
I doubt he's got his sights set on space just yet. But he's definitely got ambitions. He wants to see Russia back on top, whatever the fuck that means.
And he's willing to do whatever it takes to get there. Right. I mean, we're talking invading countries, silencing his critics, building a goddamn billion-dollar palace while his people are struggling. The dude's got his priorities straight, that's for sure.
Pretty much. Putin's Russia doesn't play by the same rules as everyone else. Power is all that matters. Law, human rights, decency, all that goes out the window.
You know, it's kind of fascinating in a fucked up way. This guy is like a real-life Bond villain, except he's actually running a country.
Except the stakes are a hell of a lot higher than in some Bond film. We're talking about nuclear weapons, global instability, maybe even a new Cold War.
Shit just got real, man. So what can we, the average schmucks of the world, do about it? Should we be stocking up on canned goods, building bunkers in our backyards?
Yeah.
Just in case shit really hits the fan.
I wouldn't go that far just yet. But it is important to stay informed, to stay engaged. Putin thrives on apathy and ignorance. The more we know about what motivates him, what his tactics are, the better chance we have of, well, holding him accountable.
Right on, man. Knowledge is power. So for all you curious motherfuckers out there, I hope this deep dive has given you something to think about. Keep asking those questions, keep learning, and most importantly, keep your bullshit detectors on high alert. There's a lot of crap out there,
Couldn't agree more. And always remember, the world is a complicated place. There are no easy answers. But the more we try to understand it, the better chance we have of surviving it, right?
Damn straight. All right, folks, that's a wrap for today. Hope you learned some shit and maybe had a few laughs along the way. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and don't let the bastards grind you down.